Welcome back, friends. I know it's been a couple of weeks, and the last thing I left you guys with was our intro video, but that's just because a lot's been happening at my home specifically, but I won't go into details about that. So I did a Polish bread bag loadout video a couple months back, and I mentioned that I wanted to put our logo on it someplace, and what I have here today is that Polish bread bag, and I took some tacky glue and I glued that on there, and it's been curing for a couple of weeks now. And what I'm going to do is we're going to get this light on, and I'm going to get my Townsend's sewing kit that I bought, and I'll show you the contents of that. And what I'm going to do is take the artificial sinew from out of here and use that to sew this on. This is one of them patches I was telling you about that had the holes already pre-drilled in them by my leather guy who makes anything leather that I request. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use artificial sinew because it's way stronger than just thread. Thread can just rip at any time, and artificial sinew will not, and it'll just be a lot better. And what we're going to do is what they call a saddle stitch, I believe, is what I'm going to attempt to do. And I'll bring you in for a close-up as I'm stitching it, but I'm not going to sit here and film the whole stitch. I'll just get it started, bring it in about halfway, and then bring it back when I'm finished. So let me get this light turned on and get the camera positioned over here so that we can get started. So hang on just a second. So what we have here is it just rolls up onto itself, and then it ties. And when you open it, it's just a nice little flap that has a little bit of everything. This is pretty much anything and everything you can think of. I have it all. Here's the sinew, and we have needles in here, and our scissors. Those are pretty cool. Yeah, so let me get this opened up and get the needles out. We'll get this threaded, and we'll start the process of saddle stitching. So to do what they call saddle stitching, you have to have two large needles. Now in this case, I have two different styles of needles. I've got one that has a little hook in it, and then one that's straight. It's not really going to affect too much in this, but I just want you to see that before you ask me why one of them looks crooked. So you put your sinew in one end and you tie a knot, and you put one in the other end and tie a knot, and then you basically are stitching through the same hole more than once. So you'll go through one way with one needle, and you'll take the needle and come back through that same hole. I'll demonstrate that as soon as I get these tied on. So as you can see, I have my first stitch in, which will be one needle on one side and one needle on the other side. So what you do is, minus your first hole, because you're just going to pull it all the way through, you want to find where your second hole is, and when you stitch through, you're going to pull all the way until it's tight. Lay that one aside and go for your second one, and go back through that same hole until you pull that all the way through. Lay it aside. Pull both of them to make them tight. And as you can see, we started our first stitch, and it should look like this all the way through. So we're going to have a stitch like this on the front and a stitch like that on the back. And we'll bring it back when we get about halfway down. So stay. Alright, well, that's about halfway. So if you can see that, it's got the continuous stitch in and out all the way around, and even on the back side, continuous stitch all the way around. So that when it's completely done, you'll just see a white circle in here, and I thought that the white contrasted well with the brown of the patch and the green bag itself. So I'm going to continue on with this and get this finished up the rest of the way and show you the end result, and we'll probably end the video. So stay tuned until the end, and I hope you like the outcome. As you can see, we've got that sewn all the way around. Made it back to the beginning. I'm going to show you how to finish this off, because you don't just cut it here and call it done. What you want to do is either take your needle in reverse directions and go back a couple of stitches to get your needle back. You're just basically backing it up, and then so that's what we'll do. We'll actually reverse directions, and we'll go a couple of holes, and we'll do this for both. Actually, we'll do one forward, we'll do one backwards. So I'll get this one to go through, we'll say 4. And each time, if you notice, I'm pulling to make sure that it's tight and it's not going to come out. It's already pretty tight. And then what you want to do is you want to end it on your back side, because this sinew is waxed. So what I do is I run it underneath one of my threads, and it creates this loop. And then I take my needle and run it through that loop 2 or 3 times. I'm going to go 3. And then once we do that, we cinch it down. And what it does is create a very tight knot right there. And since that's on the inside, we're not going to be bothered by it so much. So then what we do is cut it off and give yourself about a 1/4 inch. About a 1/4 inch of line. And then you could take a lighter and burn that, and you're basically making it to where that will never come undone. So we did that with one end. Now I'll do it with the other end, and I'll bring it back to show you a finished product. Well, there's the end result. Inside looks like that, with our 2 little ends burned in. Nice little circle. Now I have a confession. That was my very first time ever saddle stitching. I've watched leather workers, I've watched seamstresses, I've watched all sorts of people do all sorts of neat little things with sewing, which I didn't think was really a thing, neat in sewing. But that was a fun little project, and I definitely am looking forward to doing that on other things. Speaking of, I have a few of those left with the holes in them if you do want to purchase any. If you do want to, just let me know in the comments below, and I can, we can work on payment details and things like that. I also have regular patches just like the one on my hat, not this one, but my other hat, that don't have holes, which is the same patch that this one is. This one just has holes. I have a few with holes and several without. So if you would like to have one of these patches to sew on any of your gear, just let me know. We can work out payment details or what have you. Other than that, I just want to do this quick little DIY Polish bread bag, which is now a Bushcraft Evolution Polish bread bag, and I can't wait to get this thing out in the field and you guys start seeing me using it more often. And I guess I don't have anything else to do or say, so till next time I see you, get out there.